Hello and welcome to my B2B podcast. I'm your host, Troy Hooper, and I own and operate a farmers insurance agency here in Caldwell, Idaho. I created this podcast to spotlight business owners and leaders to share their story and tell us about their business, the who, the what, the when, the why, and the how of it all. And if you're listening and are a business leader, my hope is that you will gain some great nuggets of knowledge from our guest that will help grow your business to the next level. And so with that, let's get into the interview. Hey everyone, welcome to B2B Growth. It's your business. My name is Troy Hooper, and today I am here with Rob Graham with Express Employment Professionals. Rob, how you doing today?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
I'm doing great. Oh, I picked up on your accent. You're like from what, Texas or something like that?
Yeah, it's my deep Southern accent.
Well, it's good to have you today on the show. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? What do you do? How'd you get here to Idaho?
Yeah, obviously the accent's a little far away from here. So grew up in Australia. Spent 15 years serving in the Australian military over there. A little time in the army, and then I wisened up and joined the Air Force, so I didn't have to dig holes anymore. Spent a fair bit of time as an avionics engineer, traveling the world, seeing all the sights, never really being home. And we had a job offer for my wife here in Idaho, and everything looked awesome. And the more we looked into Idaho, the happier we were to make the leap across the pond. And I came out for a little bit of a vacation before my green card cleared, and came across Express, interviewed with them, had the job lined up before I came, and have been with Express ever since. So it's been a wild and fun adventure, but that's life.
It sounds like it. Whenever I interview someone and you kind of talk about their story of how they got here, it's always interesting because it's always Caldwell. How did you get to Caldwell?
Yeah. But yeah, ever since I got here, fell in love with the place more and more, and it definitely feels like home. It's a great place to plant some roots and have a little more stability in life. And yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
Well, tell us about Express Employment Professionals. What is it? What does it do?
Yeah, so Express Employment Professionals is a full service staffing firm. So quite often people see us as a temp agency, and we are far from that. It's on average only about 5% of our business. So with Express, we do the temporary stuff where people need it, but predominantly people use us for the evaluation to hire side of our business, sourcing people, screening them, especially in this market. It's significantly hard to find people, and then put them through our payroll for the probationary period. That's like 85% of our business is that, helping people find the right fit. And that's on both sides of the house. So, sometimes employees start somewhere, they think it's their dream job, and it's not quite working out. So we'll liaise with the business, see if there's something that we can do to make it more appealing. So we do offer training and a bunch of resources to our clients as well, the businesses. If there's something that we can do that will help them retain people, or we just figure out it's not a good fit and we help them find a better fit by doing good exit interviews, understanding more about the person and the business, and eventually ending up with the right fit. But and then we do some direct hire, which people commonly refer to as headhunting, but going and finding people, because most of your good employees right now have already got a job. So you got to go find them, figure out what they need to entice them over to your business. So, and we're that middle ground. Our whole team works on that on the daily. So I brag on our team, but at the same time, they do a pretty awesome job. So it's definitely fun for everyone, and we look for the win-wins for everyone. So yeah.
So talk about the process. How does someone like come to Express, and then how does an employer get contacted with them?
Yeah, so when it's a job seeker, it's totally free to job seekers, which is really nice. It's an additional resource in their tool belt, and in some cases it's the only place to get into certain businesses because they either don't have a human resources department or they're just burnt out from trying to find people. But the process for a job seeker is come in, interview with our team. It's very different to a regular job interview. It's more of a get to know you session. So it's figuring out that right business, your ambitions, goals of what you want to do as a job, and then matching you with the right business in the area that matches values as well as technical skills, that personality fit, because that's such a huge part of it.
Right.
And then from the client side, it's reaching out to me and the team here. Well, we'll get you connected with the right account manager that can look after you, guide you through what process that they're looking for to find someone. If there's something that's way outside of what's happening in the market, whether that be your interviewing process, your pay rates, working conditions, things like that, we give guidance on what that is to make sure that you're a competitive employer in the market and are able to attract the right talent for what the business goals are. So it's a lot of helping people. It's a lot of analysis and just talking and getting to understand businesses. Our team will go in and do tours with businesses so they can get an understand of that corporate culture, the company feel, talk to supervisors and figure out what they're looking for in a person, because sometimes that view from management and what the view from a supervisor is that's working with that person on a daily basis can be quite different. So
right,
really getting in the weeds of what businesses and job seekers need. And then,
so you're digging into a company and just trying to find that match, and you're digging into a potential employee to find that match as well.
Yeah, and it just ends up being a lot better fit. You got less turnover. Turnover's crazy expensive, as most business owners will know. But generally, it's 50 to 100% of someone's annual salary for that position is what it's going to cost a business. So it can be a very significant cost when you break down, like really break down and get into the weeds of, paying a new person, doing the recruiting costs, spending the time training them. You've got missed opportunity costs that are very hard to factor in at times. So it can be a very, very long and expensive process. So you want to try and get it right as quick as possible.
We'll talk about the costs, like for an employer, for instance, because obviously when you have somebody come in, you don't just say, okay, you're going to make X amount of dollars an hour and the employer is going to pay that amount. How does that factor in?
Yeah, so a business will pay a markup percentage on top of a person's hourly rate or salary rate if they're doing the evaluation hire or a temp position. And that covers all their costs. So we're the employer of record, so we're assuming all the legal responsibility from insurance, workers' comp, taxes, W-2s, all of that fun stuff that you've got when you've got an employee. And yeah, so that's all factored into that markup, as well as us paying for our team. We hire the best recruiters in the Valley to do that job, and they're not cheap, but you get what you pay for. So if you want them to do a phenomenal job, then like everything, you've got to pay for the best talent.
Yeah. And you handle all that payroll side, but you also actually do, if a company said, we want to hire this person, but we want you to continue to do the payroll for them, you guys can do that as well.
Yeah, so we do a payrolling service. Obviously, that's a significantly cheaper option when it comes to the evaluation of hire, because we're not having to recruit those recruiting costs, because we do everything up front. We're not asking for any upfront payment. So our marketing, our screening, our interviewing process is not paid for upfront. The employer only pays when they get a person working.
Right.
So, and then you've got the direct hire option where they'll go straight onto someone's payroll, and that's a flat fee, and that's only after someone starts. So based off the person's annual salary, again, there's a fee that's worked out. We all agree on that beforehand, so everyone's got comfort in the budget, especially with employees these days. The budget's been stretched pretty thin with a lot of businesses. So we want to have those correct expectations straight off the bat.
Sure. So you guys, you'll sometimes set people up to be just temporary, and other times there'll be the offer to say, look, this might be a temporary position, or it can turn into a permanent position.
Yeah. And, every temporary could become a a long-term employment for the right person. They may see something in that person when they're working that they go, you know what, I've got a different position for them, and then we jump in and work that out. But generally, we like to set those expectations up front. So if it's just going to be temporary, we want people to know it's going to be temporary. But if it's an evaluation hire, like they're trying before they buy, then we want to set that expectation correctly, because that's where we see a lot of failure happen when it comes to a just mismatch of expectations. If there wasn't an expectation of a pay increase and benefits when they roll over to the client, then they're probably not going to stick around much longer after that rollover period. And you've spent all that time and money training and putting into that person. It just ends up a bad mix. And then we offer benefits from day one for every single one of our workers. So anyone who's on our payroll gets medical, dental, vision, 401k.
Oh, wow.
The whole lot from day one. So we're looking after people. Like that's our business. Is people are our business. So we got to look after them.
So do you ever run into an issue where you hire somebody to do a temporary work? The company decides, yeah, let's go permanent with this person or whatever, but then they don't want to go because the company is not providing benefits?
It happens from time to time, and quite often that's where if we see that as a roadblock, then we'll get in the weeds on that discussion, because we do have a couple of different options when it comes to the long-term payroll and benefit situation. The temporary stuff it's our standard benefits package, but there is a slightly higher one that we can incorporate in there that looks after people a little bit better, especially when they're looking for that long term.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it's always a conversation. I'm only ever a phone call away to kind of try and figure out some of those roadblocks that it takes to get the right person and keep the right person. And that's where, if it's temporary, we've got a lot of people that do just like the temporary work. They just like fill-in work. Some of them have like their own businesses, for example, and they utilize us to just have some fill-in work. So making sure that we're setting those expectations and just working with our team. Hey, I'd really like to hire this person, and have a conversation. And we've usually got a fair bit of insight into that person, whether that'll be a good long-term fit or not, and can give that guidance.
Sure. We'll talk a little bit about the current market for employment, and like what's changed since, I don't know, 2019, the pandemic and all that other stuff.
Yeah, so one of the big changes is a lot of people became self-employed. There was been a huge uptick in self-employment, which has taken away a little bit from the job market. The other thing has been caregiving. So you've got a stay-at-home mum or dad, or grandparents that aren't quite ready to retire yet, but they're staying at home looking after kids, or there's even elder care, like that sandwich generation, where they're kind of stuck in the middle, and they've got to look after kids and look after sick and elderly parents. So we're seeing a big market there that is really untapped. Most of them want to work or even need to work, especially with the way economics of the world has gone these days. It's definitely challenging for a lot of people. So we're seeing the lowest unemployment in the nation here in Idaho. So that's a huge factor. But if you're shopping for employees in the unemployed market, you're going to struggle to really find people. It's pretty much anything less than 5% is deemed everyone's really employed. And our latest numbers were 2.9%. So we're significantly below that.
Yeah.
But looking at national statistics, only about 16% of working age adults aren't available to work right now. And that caregiver area, or people that are staying at home doing homeschooling, other things like that kind of stopping doing the general 9 to 5 or 10 to 12 hour shifts, they need some more flexibility. That's 42% of working age adults. So that's a huge market that's untapped. And so that's where I come in with the workforce consulting side of things, look at schedules, look at start times, look at pay rates, working conditions, and see if there's ways of us to tap into some of that market that most other businesses are not tapping into.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, one of the benefits I see of what you guys do, or at least what you do with your team, is that you just are not satisfied with throwing somebody in temporarily and that's our job. You're really digging into a company and finding out what they need and help them in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, you do get organizations that do what we call the warm body flinging exercise, and if that's for some businesses that works, right? Like if
Right.
they just need a couple of days labor, that can work out a lot better and in honesty, mostly cheaper. But if you're looking for someone that you want to fit more permanently, you do need someone that's willing to get in the weeds and really analyze your business, analyze the people that you're trying to get for the business and make sure it's a good fit. That's why our interview process is so different. I can go back through our database and people put in the hours that they're willing to work, so I can look at schedules and go, well, if we look at the people that we've interviewed in the last month, if you move your start time from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., you now open up the opportunity of getting the right talent into your business. Or it could be something as simple as they can work from 8:30 until 2:30 because of school hours or something like that. But I can give some quantifiable numbers that we can work in with the budget, timing, and schedules and see if that's something that will actually work in that business. Having 2 6-hour employees instead of 1 12-hour employee can get you the right talent you need. So it's definitely not a one size fits all solution. Everyone's got different needs in business, and it's about looking at creative ways of getting the people you need and still meeting your production demands, whatever they are, whether that's building homes or making applesauce packets. So, yeah.
So let me ask the taboo question.
Yeah.
How is it today working with millennials?
Well, they're a different breed, and every generation's different. On average, most businesses will have 5 generations working in the workplace, and quite often people are referring to millennials as the pains of the workforce. But we've also got Gen Z, which people tend to mix the two together, and they're 2 very different generations. So technically, myself, I'm a millennial. But I'm kind of in that bridge area of millennials and Gen X.
Right.
So you kind of end up with some weird and wonderful mixes when you're in those shoulder areas of each generation. But it's about finding out what those people need and what drives them. And the only way you find that out is by asking. It sounds super simple. For example, we do stay interviews at least yearly, at minimum yearly, and they're all about finding out what's driving them, what's getting in their way of getting their job done. Dedicated one-on-ones with their immediate manager or supervisor, they're done monthly. And how do you find out and get to know your people and find out what drives them? Some of our younger team members, it's community service. They want to feed their soul in some way, shape, or form. Others, it's money driven. They've got some large money goals. It might be buying a house or getting into investment properties or something like that. And those needs change over time. So just doing your one-off stay interviews are not going to help. It needs to be a routine program that engages your people. It could be something as simple as putting in a good coffee machine in your break room. Huh. And even when it comes to looking at benefit packages, if you're getting large enough that you're wanting to put in benefits packages that start financially making sense for business, asking your team what really matters to them. If you haven't got a lot of family people, then it might be pet insurance, or everyone's worried about their cat and dog. So if you offer pet insurance as a benefit rather than health insurance, or you can do a lower health insurance plan, it's all about asking what their needs are and then meeting them.
Right.
And every employee wants to feel engaged. It's just that, how do you engage them? And most of the time, and it doesn't really matter for any generation, it's engaging in that conversation with them and figuring out what they need. So that's how I recommend working with millennials or Gen Z. Yeah,
Or like you said,
especially
any generation for that matter, because you just
right.
have to find out what makes them tick.
Yeah, when you've got Gen Xers or millennials that are leading boomers, like that happens in the workplace. Especially right now, we see a lot of people that had the COVID mayhem that we went through, saw some early retirement, weren't really happy with the way their retirement plan was going after that, or they were just getting bored and wanted to come back into the workplace, but they didn't want to go back into those senior leadership positions that they left. They wanted to be more of that worker bee and have a little less responsibility, but at the same time, that there were a wealth of knowledge that you could be tapping into, and that whole what is it like your overqualified is like a horrible word to say.
Right.
But if you got someone applying and they seem overqualified, it is well and truly worth meeting with them, because they may have changed their goals. Reading someone's resume isn't the whole story. And if they're applying, it means they're interested. So give them some time and you might get some awesome bang for buck that
Right.
delivers a wealth of knowledge to your more junior staff without putting that person into a leadership position that they don't want. So
Yeah. Makes sense.
lots of different options there.
Yeah. So an employer or potential employee wants to get a hold of you. What's the best way to do it? What's your guys' marketing stuff?
Yeah, so we've got our website, expresspros.com. That gets you connected with the nearest office here in Idaho. There's always a way to reach out to me, connecting with our local chambers. So I'm very active in both Caldwell and Nampa Chamber of Commerce as well. So calling and asking them, how do I get in contact with Rob? And then depending on where you are, I'll either be helping them or I'll be connecting them with the best account manager to suit their business needs and their location.
Right.
So it's very easy to find us. My cell phone number's readily available to people, so they can reach me at any time. Sometimes that gets a little wild, but it's, I'm here to help, here to serve. So
Sure.
that's the easiest way to find us.
Well, Rob, thank you so much for coming on to the meeting today. It's great having you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always look forward to connecting with you, and yeah, it's been great. Thanks for the invite.
You bet. You bet. This has been B2B Growth. It's your business. My name is Troy Hooper, and thank you for joining us today.